All right, here we go. The final part of our unit on trigonometry. We're going to take everything we've been learning and put this all together. So the nice thing about these problems is even though these ones are long, there's nothing really new. It's just a bunch of old material kind of put together in one problem. We're asked to solve a triangle, meaning we want to know everything we can about this triangle. We want to know what all three sides are and what all three angles are. So there will be 6 answers when we're done. The good news is they'll give you 3 answers off the bat, and you'll have to find the other 3. So I like to use this chart to organize my answers. You certainly don't have to. You can put the answers right in the diagram if you want. So I'm going to start with filling out some things that I know. I can see in the diagram that angle C is my right angle, so that's 90 degrees, and angle A must be 28 degrees. It tells me that. And then they've also given me side B. Side B is across from angle B, just side note. So side B is 15. So there's the 3 answers they gave me. I'm left to find the other 3. Well, down here I've given you some ideas you can use to help you find what's missing in these triangles. The first thing is, remember that angles in a triangle always add up to 180. So I can see that since I know 2 of the angles, I should be able to find the third angle right away. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, there's 180 degrees total in a triangle. I'm going to subtract off the 90 that I already have, and I'm going to subtract off the 28 that I already have. What's left over is 62 degrees. There's one of my answers. So, all right, 1 answer down, 2 to go. I like to circle my answer, so there's 62. Next up, I need to find those missing sides. And even though Pythagorean theorem is an option, I can't use it because I only have 1 side given. I wouldn't be able to get very far with Pythagorean theorem, so I'm stuck with trig. You'll have to do trig at least once for each of these questions. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to circle angle A, although I do know angle B. I could start from up there, but I'm going to circle angle A, and I'm going to choose to find side A first. So I know that side A is the opposite side, and I know side 15 is the adjacent, and C must be the hypotenuse. Well, since I'm going to work on finding side A, I've got to use A and 15. I can't use A and C. It's too many variables. I'd be stuck with the same problem with Pythagorean theorem. I would have too many unknowns. So side A is the opposite side, this side is the adjacent side. Knowing what I know about SOHCAHTOA, O and A tells me I'm using tangent. So I'm going to write tangent of the angle, 28, I know that this time. And then over 1, remember I like to do these with proportions. So tangent 28 equals A, the opposite side, over 15, the adjacent side. So let's go ahead and solve this proportion. I'm going to use a calculator and find the tangent of 28, and I find that to be approximately, I'm going to go 4 decimal places, 5317 when I do the tangent of 28, regular tangent, not inverse tangent. And from there I'm going to cross multiply. So A times 1 is just A, and cross multiply the other way, 0.5317 times 15 is approximately, it comes up almost exactly 8. So since I want to make sure I do indicate I rounded, I'm going to do 8.0. If you had used a slightly different answer, maybe you got 7.9 or 8.1, that's fine. So side A, I'm going to get that in my chart now, is 8.0 approximately. I'm going to circle that too because that was one of my answers. And look, 2 answers done, just 1 to go. At this point, since I've got side A figured out, I'm going to put that in my diagram. Side A is approximately 8 or 8.0. At this point, you have options to find your last answer. If you like trig, you can certainly do another trig equation to find side C, or since you know 2 sides of that right triangle, why don't we just go ahead and use Pythagorean theorem? So C is my hypotenuse, so I've got 15 squared plus 8 squared is the 2 legs, and then equal to C squared. Now the only reason you might not want to do this is because we're using a rounded answer to get another answer, but it's going to be close enough for what we're doing. So 225 plus 64 would equal C squared. Add those together and I get 289 equal to C squared. Remember, as your final step with Pythagorean theorem, go ahead and take the square root of both sides. 289 is a perfect square, so we end up with C, I'm going to put approximately because remember we had rounded. So it's about 17.0. So I'll get that in my chart. And look at that, we've got the triangle solved. We know all 3 things about that triangle. Or sorry, all 6 things about that triangle, the 3 things they ask us to find, and the 3 things that were given to us. I'm going to go ahead and do one more. Again, it's a solving the right triangle problem, meaning I want to know everything about it, all 3 sides, all 3 angles, so I have 6 answers when I'm done. You'll see that as I start to fill out the chart, and you may notice right away that this problem is a little bit different than the last one. We're going to follow a slightly different procedure, but let's go ahead and get the chart filled out. Again, the chart's what I like to use. You don't have to use the chart. You can just put the numbers in the picture if you want to. Angle C is the only angle they give me, 90 degrees, so right there is my big difference. I only have 1 angle this time versus last time I had 2. Side A would be 4. Side A is across from angle A, if you care about that. And then side B is going to be 8. So slightly different setup this time. I know 2 sides, but only 1 angle. So since I know 2 sides, I might as well find the third side. We can use Pythagorean theorem. So 4 and 8 are the 2 legs, so 4 squared plus 8 squared would equal the hypotenuse squared. So I'll start with that. 16 and 64 are going to add up to 80, and I'll take the square root of that. And nothing in here, equals 80. Nothing in here said I needed an exact answer, so I'll just use a calculator and take the square root and get C is approximately 8.9. Let's use 1 decimal place, should probably be good for what we're doing. So I have all 3 sides, so that's done. Hooray. Now I'm just stuck with finding those angles. Last time we were able to subtract from 180 because we had 2 angles and we can find that third one. I can't do that this time because I'm missing 2 of them. So pick whichever angle you want to find first. I'm just going to pick A because it's alphabetical. Why not? And if you remember, since we're missing angles, we're going to have to be doing inverse trigonometry to find those missing angles. But first I need to figure out whether I'm doing sine, cosine, or tangent. So angle A is what I want to find. I'm going to label my sides. Remember I said you have to do trig at least once. That includes inverse trig. So 4 is the opposite side, 8's the adjacent side. Side C, as we already mentioned, was hypotenuse. I'm going to not use side C because it's 8.9 and I don't need it and I don't want to work with the decimals. So I'm going to choose to work with the opposite and the adjacent side. So once again, that's tangent. So tangent of the angle, I don't know it this time. So remember we put an A there. If we don't know the angle, we use the variable. So tangent of A is equal to the opposite side 4 over the adjacent, which is 8. Remember, since we're missing an angle, we're going to do an inverse. So tangent, it looks like to the negative first power, although we just say inverse tangent. Remember to access that on your calculator, press second tangent and make sure you're in degree mode. If you want to type in inverse tangent of 0.5 and just make that a decimal right away, you can. If you want to make it 1/2, go for it. It's fine to just do 4 over 8 for what we're doing. Once I do that inverse tangent of 4 over 8, I get an angle A I should say, that's approximately 26.6. And remember, since it's an angle, let's use a degree symbol, so 26.6 degrees for angle A. So I'll get that in my chart. And just one more thing to find, and that's that remaining angle. Well, at this point, you know 2 of them, so you might as well do your, or use your knowledge that angles in a triangle add up to 180. So 180, I'm going to subtract off the angles I know. I was given the 90, and I'll subtract off the 26.6 that I know. The remaining difference is going to be about 63.4, so that must be what my final angle is. So 63.4, I'll get degrees in there, and voila, I've solved another triangle. I know the lengths of all 3 sides, and I know the measures of all 3 angles.